Top 3 best morning habits that heal your gut and flush out bloating. Fast. Most people dealing with bloating and constipation have been told the same thing for years. Eat more fiber. Drink more water. And most of them did exactly that. And most of them are still dealing with the same problems. Here's what almost no one explains. The issue isn't what you're putting in. It's that your colon, the last stretch of your digestive system, has quietly lost its ability to move things through the way it used to. More fiber doesn't fix that. These 3 habits do. They work with the way your gut actually functions, and you can start all 3 of them today. Number 1 is the one almost nobody talks about. It's something you do every single day, probably several times a day, without ever realizing you've been doing it in a way that works against your own body. Number 1, your posture on the toilet. Deep inside your pelvis, there's a muscle that wraps around your lower intestine like a sling and holds a natural bend in place. Think of it like a garden hose that's slightly kinked. That kink is useful during the day. It helps your body stay in control. But when it's time to have a bowel movement, that kink needs to fully open. The muscle needs to relax completely, so everything can pass through freely. Here's the problem. In the standard seated position, feet flat on the floor, hips at a 90-degree angle, that muscle doesn't fully release. The kink stays partially in place. Your body has to push harder to work around it. And it works. Mostly. But not completely. What gets left behind is what causes the problem. Stool that wasn't fully passed stays in the colon longer. Your colon keeps breaking it down. More gas is produced. And the result? The bloating, the pressure, the heaviness, hits many people throughout the afternoon and evening, often without them ever connecting it to an incomplete bowel movement hours earlier. Now, when you raise your feet, even slightly, your knees lift above your hips. That single shift straightens out that inner kink completely. The muscle relaxes the way it was designed to. The passage opens. And what needed to come out can come out completely. Without strain. You don't need to purchase anything specific. A firm surface 4 to 6 inches high under both feet is enough. A folded blanket, a small step, anything stable that fits in front of your toilet. People who make this adjustment describe fewer episodes of straining, a stronger sense of complete emptying, and noticeably less bloating by the end of the day. Not because they changed their diet, because they finally allowed their body to complete a process it was never quite finishing. This isn't a trend. It's how the human body was built to work, long before modern plumbing changed everything. The toilet is a relatively recent invention. That muscle in your pelvis is not. Have you ever finished in the bathroom and still felt like something was left behind? Comment below. It's one of the most common experiences people never think to mention. And for many, this one adjustment is the piece that's been missing for years. One practical note. If you have limited mobility in your knees, hips, or ankles, choose a support that feels stable and comfortable. The goal is a gentle lift, not a stretch, not a strain. Any small, stable surface that raises your feet a few inches will do the job. The second one might surprise you. It doesn't involve food or supplements at all. It targets the very first signal your gut receives each morning, and for many people dealing with constipation, that signal has gone quiet. Number 2. warm water on an empty stomach. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, your digestive system has been at rest. No food, no significant movement. Your colon has been quiet, and for a gut that's already slow, one that's lost some of the natural coordination it had in earlier decades, that overnight pause can stretch well into the morning without anything happening. Warm water changes that. Here's the simple version of what happens. Your gut has its own built-in system, a network of nerves that runs your digestive tract completely on its own, separate from your brain. It doesn't wait for you to think about it. It doesn't need instructions. It just knows what to do. Or at least, it's supposed to. When warm liquid enters an empty stomach, it wakes that system up. Your stomach registers the warmth and sends a message straight to your colon. Time to move. Start working. It's one of the most direct ways to get your gut going first thing in the morning. No medication, no supplement required. Cold water can trigger a mild version of this. Warm water does it more reliably and more gently. That's the only difference. Temperature. That's it. Here's what that looks like in practice. 1 cup, roughly 8 ounces, sipped slowly, right after waking. Not gulped. Sipped over 5 to 10 minutes. Then give it 15 to 20 minutes before eating breakfast. That window is when the signal is most active. For people who go several days without a bowel movement, this habit alone often shifts the pattern within the first week. Not because it forces anything, because it reminds a quiet gut that it's time to work. It's a cue, not a push. If your doctor has recommended limiting your fluid intake for any medical reason, follow that guidance. For most people, though, this is one of the simplest, least expensive habits on this entire list. And consistently, one of the most underestimated. And number 3 is where most of the advice you've already heard misses the point entirely. Fiber is not a bad idea. But the way most people add it, more of the same kind, in larger amounts, without understanding what the colon actually needs, can make things worse before they get better. And for some people, it only makes things worse. Number 3, psyllium husk, used the right way. You can find it in most grocery stores, usually near the fiber supplements. Most fiber people add when they're constipated works by adding roughage, dry bulk. Think of it like adding more dry material to a pipe that's already slow. It can work when everything else is running well. But for a colon that's already struggling, more dry bulk just adds to the problem. Psyllium works completely differently. When psyllium touches water, it turns into a thick gel, almost like a soft, slippery coating. That gel wraps around your stool. It keeps moisture locked inside. And because the stool stays soft and smooth, your colon barely has to work to move it along. That last part is the key. Soft stool moves easily. Hard, dry stool doesn't. Everything in this habit comes back to that one simple idea. And here's why this matters so much after 40. As you get older, your colon quietly becomes more aggressive at pulling water out of stool. More water removed means drier stool. Drier stool means harder to pass. And harder to pass means more straining, more bloating, more of everything you're trying to avoid. Psyllium puts that moisture back, not by forcing your colon to work harder, but by making the stool itself easier to move. The research behind psyllium is more consistent than almost any other dietary fiber. Study after study in adults with chronic constipation shows the same results. Softer stool, more regular and complete bowel movements, less straining, and less bloating over time. Here is how to use it correctly, because the method matters as much as the fiber itself. Start with 1 teaspoon, roughly 5 grams, stirred into a full 8-ounce glass of water. Drink it right away before it thickens too much, and follow immediately with another 4 to 8 ounces of plain water. Once a day to start. After a week, if needed, increase to twice daily. The effect takes days, not hours. That's not a flaw. That's how it works. You're not forcing a quick reaction. You're gradually changing what stool is made of, before it even has to be moved. One warning, and this one is important. Psyllium without enough water makes constipation worse. Without fluid, the gel can't form. Instead, it becomes a dense, dry clump, exactly what you don't want. Always take it with a full glass of water. And stay hydrated throughout the day, not just when you take the psyllium. If you've ever had a blockage or narrowing in your intestines, or if you take multiple daily medications, speak with your doctor before adding psyllium regularly. For most healthy adults, it is safe, widely available, and one of the most well-supported tools for chronic constipation. Now, those 3 habits are your foundation. But your gut is a system, and systems respond to consistency across multiple inputs. A few additional things worth knowing, not as replacements for what you've already learned, but as ways to support the same underlying process. Hydrated chia seeds follow the same logic as psyllium. They form a thick gel when soaked in water, and that gel helps keep stool soft and moving. The preparation step is not optional. Chia seeds eaten dry, sprinkled into food without liquid, actually pull moisture away from your colon instead of adding to it. 1 tablespoon soaked in a full cup of water for at least 20 minutes before eating. That's what makes them useful. Skip the soaking, and you may be doing the opposite of what you intend. How you spread your water intake through the day matters more than the total amount. Most people think about how much they drink. What actually helps your colon is how you drink it. Small amounts, sipped regularly throughout the day, keep your colon consistently hydrated. 2 large glasses at once don't have the same effect. Your body processes that water quickly and moves on. Slow and steady. That's what your colon responds to. Daily movement keeps your gut active and on schedule. Think of it this way. Your colon needs physical movement to keep moving. When you sit for most of the day, that stimulation disappears, and your gut slows down with it. A 20-minute walk is enough. The intensity doesn't matter. What matters is that it happens. Regularly. Most days of the week. And finally, foods where beneficial bacteria are naturally present help support the good bacteria already living in your gut. Things like plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, and fermented vegetables. The more variety of good bacteria you have in there, the better your gut tends to function. Less gas, more regular movement, less discomfort. You don't need supplements to begin. Eating these foods consistently is a sound first step. Let's bring the full picture together. Adjusting your posture removes a physical obstacle that's been making every bowel movement harder than it needs to be. and leaving stool behind that your body spends the rest of the day reacting to. Warm water first thing in the morning wakes up the system your gut uses to get itself moving, so it doesn't sit quiet all morning, waiting for something to happen. And psyllium keeps your stool soft and easy to move, working against the natural change that makes constipation worse with age. The additional habits, hydrated chia, steady water intake, daily movement, fermented foods, all support the same thing. A gut that moves the way it's supposed to. None of them require a prescription. None of them are complicated. All of them are already within reach. Small, consistent habits make a real difference over time. That's not a phrase to make you feel better. It's how the gut actually changes. Not in a single day. Over days. Over weeks. Through repetition that becomes routine. You've been taking care of yourself for a long time. You deserve to understand why things work, not just be handed a list and told to follow it. Now you understand. And that understanding is what makes habits stick. If you want to keep learning how to take care of your gut, protect your digestion, and feel better in your own body every day, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We cover exactly these kinds of topics regularly, in plain language, so you always know what's actually going on inside your body and what you can do about it. We'll see you in the next one.